Every creative entrepreneur hits painful lessons, the kind that leave scars, not bullet points. Today, you're going to hear some of the toughest lessons Wes Towers learned over 20 years in the business, including one project that nearly broke him. If you're building something of your own, this will save you years of mistakes. I sat down with Wes to talk about the real side of running a creative business. The mistakes, the missteps, and the moments where everything was on the line. These are lessons nobody teaches you, but everybody needs. Let's dive in.
Yeah, well, sticking to my lane was an important thing, I suppose. Early days, you kind of take on any work and every work that you possibly can just because you need to put food on the table, which makes sense. Anyone starting out probably can experience that to some degree. And so early on, I took projects that I really shouldn't have taken on. There was one in particular. I was in a position where I had some workers with me, some team members with me, a lead developer, and so on. So I'd been around a little while, but not fully established as I am now. And so I could see my lead programmer, the developer, was getting a bit bored with the work, and so this opportunity came along to do a dating website, which is completely outside the scope of what we've ever done. It required different software. It was before Tinder and all that, so the apps weren't a thing. So back then there was different dating websites and you'd pay to connect with people and so on. So this lady, she'd been on a TV show here in Australia, Farmer Wants a Wife, and so she had some level of celebrity to leverage to build the business. But anyway, so this opportunity came along and we did a proposal. I had no idea how to build that website, but I asked the lead developer, hey, do you know how to do it? And he said, yeah, of course I do. And I said, right, well, can you put the proposal together? And so he did that. We won the project. And then a couple of weeks into the project, massive project, it was going to take months, he quit. So he quit. He was the only guy with me that knew how to actually do the job. So I had lots of late nights, lots of sleepless nights figuring it out and delivering that project. We got it done. But the client had no idea of the torment and anguish I was facing right through that project. We delivered it. She ended up selling that business, did well out of it. But I realized, hey, that scarcity mindset of taking things on that weren't really great and taking on jobs that just to help, so my lead developer would be engaged. He left anyway. So I realized, hey, stick to my lane, stick to what we do best, stick to my niche. I think that's true in the creative endeavors as well. So it's challenging. Sometimes there might be a certain role or a certain commission or something that's not quite aligned to really what you want to do, but you'll take it anyway because you need the money. There's pros and cons. There's always a risk in that, I think. But you do what you've got to do and get that balance right. I think it's always going to be a balancing act, especially when you're starting out.
I've been there, taking on a job I had no business taking just because I needed the money or wanted to keep someone busy, and it always costs more than it pays. Creatives do this too. Commissions that drain you, projects that don't fit your voice, clients who aren't your people. Staying in your lane is kind of like a survival skill.
Yeah, so it's recurring. So the thing that is really enjoyable. We're working with mostly founder-led businesses, so it might be a small team of a dozen employees or whatnot, but it's typically making a distinct difference for the owners of the business. Like when you're working, some of our clients are massive, and so it kind of you're making a difference, but it just feels like a drop in the ocean. But when you're working with a smaller company and the owners, you know them and you've spoken to them and you understand what they're doing and you know what you're producing for them is creating the outcome that they were looking for. So it's typically to grow their businesses. That's really rewarding. And there's been certain circumstances where we've taken on new clients and particularly I'm thinking of one that was near bankrupt, nearly had to close the doors and had very little money to invest, but just said, look, this is one last roll of the dice that we're going to try this with you, and if it fails, we're going to close the doors. And that's a massive burden to carry.
It's all riding on you now.
Yeah, it's all riding on me. So, but thankfully we created a strategy where we could just do small steps to move him forward and get some income happening, just a little bit, and work up towards building out a proper, fully fledged website. So we just created a little strategy for him just to get some runs on the board, get some income flowing, and he got through that sticky situation, which is wonderful. So, I mean, it's probably true across the board in most nations that there's a bit of a financial crisis, and there's cost of living crisis, and a whole bunch of things that are happening that mean lots of people are struggling right now for various reasons. So it's really exciting when we're able to help them in a really practical way that you can see the results.
This is the kind of work that matters. In construction, I always loved the days where I could step back and see what I built. Helping someone save their business has that same feeling. You can see the impact. So if you... Now this is probably easy for you since your son is going to art school and things. If you were to give an artist or a writer or a new filmmaker any advice as a... basically as a marketer, what would you tell them? I'm guessing you probably already told your son some of this stuff. I don't know depends on what he's focusing on, but
yeah, well, just speaking to him, because I studied graphic design. I was it was within the art department, so we interacted with more the artists, visual artists, all the time. Every day I studied art history, so I know the world he's in, and so I just encouraged him to take, while he's studying and learning, to look at other mediums as well, because it's such an opportunity. They've got so much more available to them, that things that he would never have tried before, like the print material, all the various print techniques and so on, that he might not have dabbled in, and not that he might necessarily go down that path for the long term, but once you start to open yourself up to different techniques, no matter what you do, it just opens up new opportunities in what you end up settling in as what you do. So it just broadens your horizon. So whilst he's still studying, I'm encouraging to do that. As a marketing perspective, once he's kind of through that studying phase and he's more establishing himself as an artist, I think it's important to be known and recognised for something, whether that be a particular style or a particular story. So people are buying the story. It's kind of a value that we place on artwork, is we want to know that the particular artist, it was his or her hand who used the brush that touched the canvas and created the artwork, because it's the story of who they are and everything around that creates value for the artwork. There might be a replica and a rip-off of that same artwork, and it might be just as beautiful, but it holds no value because there's not the story and the substance behind it. So building those stories and being known and recognised for something is the best thing you can do in marketing, but any creative endeavour as well.
This is gold. Explore different mediums. Build your story and be known for something. People don't buy art because it's pretty. They buy it because of the story behind the hand that made it.
Especially in this world we're living in right now, things get so complex so fast, and it's a matter of stripping back all the things that are redundant, that don't matter, to find out what the core essence of something is. That's what people are searching for. I think with the way in which we're living now, with this short attention spans and the overwhelm of information, to find that simple core truth, I like to think of it as a truth. If you can share that somehow, no matter what your endeavour is, people are searching for those things, those ingredients to life and success. So simplifying in a business context would be about getting really clear and precise and compelling with your message about exactly what you do and who you do it for, so that anyone that engages with your website, for example, they read it and they quickly understand exactly who you are, what you do and why you do it and what the benefits are, those sorts of things, because everyone's kind of rushed for time and they're not paying super close attention to anything. So you've got to be really simple in that.
Hey, if you want the entire scoop, check out the full interview on my podcast. Link is in the description below.
The hardest lessons shape us. If you're building something, a business, a film, a book, a studio, you're going to hit walls, but you're not alone in that. Keep going, keep learning, and keep creating.